There we go. Oh boy. This will be fun. Okay. Here's our progress. Cleaning up all the links. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. And getting into some... I remember this one being challenging. But looking back, I do still like it, so that's good. But man, look at this pose. That'll be tricky. Link doing the limbo. Yeesh. No, we'll see how far we get. I'm not going to stream too long because it's the early morning and I only have so much window before my wife and kids get up. So we'll see. Also, this is a little laggy. Little bit laggy. Any dropped frames? No? Okay, that's good. Alright, well, we'll see how it goes. Try to not get too bogged down in tons of detail. This is a very... Look at that, I barely even drew his pointed ears. If your characters have a lot of action in them, you gotta be careful about adding detail, because that has a tendency to freeze up the figure. Just in my own experience with my own drawings, where I'll be trying to draw something dynamic and crazy, and in the sketch it looks great, but I'll start to render it and I'll add all the, you know, like, oh, here's the skin, like, let me draw some pores, you know, and before you know it, it just feels like it's frozen. It's not moving anymore. What was I doing with this hairline? These lines make it look like it's going like that, but I think that is more accurate. I've been in a place lately where I'm revisiting older work that I've done. Like, I know typically the feeling is you look at older work, you're like, oh shit, like that sucked. What was I thinking? But right now, I'm looking at older work and I'm like, damn, that was good. How come I can't draw like that anymore? And, you know, part of that is BS. That's like looking back on old photos of yourself and thinking, damn, that was hot. How come I didn't notice it? You know, like look how skinny or look how in shape I was, you know. That's been a common refrain in my circles when we look at old photos. You know, one thing that I do to avoid getting too bogged down is I don't draw the pupils and irises and the eyes until later on, after like the structure of the eye and everything else is a little more fit into place, because it can do a lot to distract you and throw you off somehow. For me, that seems to be a tendency. Getting these wild sideburns going. And then sort of Link whipping his head back is sort of, what's this thing called, like a hood or a cowl or something like that? Anyway, this hat sort of backflips on itself. I don't think that's big enough though. It's got to be like a rookie move to draw a Link's hat too small. Something like that, maybe. Save our work. Yeah, it's a little tricky to see what was I intending here. Let's flip it around and take another look. So I feel like I drew a decent head here. So that's a victory in and of itself. This must be the shoulder. It's rotated this way. That means that muscle kind of fits like that. Triceps are here. Elbow here. This is like the super buff version of Link, but these muscles are always tricky, but you kind of figure them out. Something like that. Chest, clavicle, kind of stuff. One pec, nipple, one pec, like the edge of the rib cage, extending into basically his waist, and then there's some sort of bend that happens that we can't really see. And over here, I think this is justifiable. We can just basically just see his shoes, his boots bending, and then the same one over here. Here is gripping a bow. Just for variety's sake, I didn't want him to always be having a sword. And then his other elbow, sort of doing something similar, sort of like a full matrix mode. Okay, looks like his other elbow is being allowed to sort of come up and go off screen. A little bit like that. This whole arm is way too much. Taper that all down. You know, but you can see some of the intention there. And maybe that'll help. As we apply the costume to the anatomy. Maybe in this sketch, I have it going too much like this. That might be too much. It might just be more flat to camera for this section. Yeah, I think so. Tricky poses. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so the conservancy of motion or something like that. The physics of the thing is that the things that are loosely attached are going to trail parts of the body that are moving the fastest. So just like Link's hat here is like the tail of a comet. Well, maybe that's a bad analogy, but the tail of a kite, for instance, is catching the wind and is blowing in a certain direction because of the forces. maybe the best analogy is that old trope where they've got the just married car with the sign says just married. It's trailing all the cans. You know, this is the trail of cans. It's just gonna follow where the main force is going, but it has to follow. So we don't want, you know, if the thing is traveling this way, then the slack needs to trail in this direction. Meaning Link's clothes are going to be tight here, loose here. Folds and wrinkles are super tricky. Bit of trial and error. One thing I am certain of, though, is on this project, I'm getting way too precious about not making mistakes. It's probably because I'm exhibiting this live and I'm being very cautious about embarrassing myself somewhat. I don't mind embarrassing myself socially, but like artistically, I'm trying to present myself as if I know what I'm doing. And making myself a little bit too reluctant to admit a weakness or whatever is counterproductive, I think. So I don't know everything. Details are here. I can't even make them out on this reference. So we can fudge it. I wonder if it looked like that would be better. Keep going though before we start revising. Okay. I still like this fun strap. It goes across his chest. mostly working for me. I feel like this can come down a bit more without doing any harm, and then I feel like this is okay. I don't know. Most of the things that I draw in my work are never shown to like what you would consider an audience. It's just internally approved by, you know, executives who are trying to pretend like they understand what's going on, at least. There's not been a lot of what I'd call organic exposure and thus feedback on a popular scale. Positive or negative. Belt. It's kind of got this side slit. I don't want to lose side of its thigh. Get some of that in there. I feel like that kind of gets it across. Things. Tighten that up a bit. Because there's perspective here. I don't want it looking too bulky. Uh-oh. No. Back up. Okay. Okay. I almost cemented that layer, this layer, to my line art, which I don't want to do. Lock that up. Somehow make it look like his boot is nearly on point. But I don't want the tip to be so tangential, like touching it on that edge there. It's better to have it overlap. That's okay. I think with the link stuff, it makes sense to be picky and protective about how it looks, whereas, you know, a lot of these monsters, they kind of get to be my own design. They don't have to be iconic. They can reflect my own take, and they're not going to be consistent from frame to frame. Like, each monster is just in one sketch, so I don't have to worry about continuity about that monster, reproducibility. Dude, maybe just give up on this thing. Let it go back like that. Around. How's this looking? I think that bill looks okay. Maybe we can go a little bit more like that. get a little more intentional about overlapping and making a decision about how far away it is and how important it is. And that feels good right there. Okay. Now I remember struggling with this bow and arrow stuff, so maybe I can revisit some of this. Just to bring it down as a reference, so I can be a little consistent. You know, right now, these little frayed lines right here at the edge are just strays, but I think at some point it would be fun to like add little bits of grit and, you know, might as well leave some of that here now just to remind myself later. You know, Link didn't go to the dry cleaners before he went into the dungeon. This guy's basically a wandering Aragorn type hero, and his suit is not pressed. Like crawling with fleas and etc. He's a wanderer. Anyway, that looks good. Okay, so bow and arrow. Now he's kind of got it holding it backwards here, which is fun, I think. I just definitely don't want to labor it too much. Trying to make it perfect, which it won't be. But something that feels like it's carved out of a gnarled piece of wood or magically shaped for a specific purpose is, I think, adequate. That might just do it. Something that shows the dimension and the structure is enough. Little bit of grit, sort of ground the thing. And then bit of a cheat, but double up those lines. They'll become darker. Unify all that. It's feeling decent. Yeah. All right, that's, you know, I like him wide-eyed like this. Huh. Got a little sweat. You know, and what he's looking at is, of course, this big ass boomerang that is gonna like overlap a little bit at least. So that'll make more sense, his eye line. A little bit of a blush. It's not the world's most perfect Link face, but I'll take it. If I try to make everything look perfect, it'll literally take forever, so. All right, well, that's pretty decent. And a good place to call it a stream, because I gotta start my morning routine. All right, if anybody was listening, thanks for doing so. I'll see you next time.